The Washington Post called our next guest one of the funniest minds of any generation, and that includes the good ones. His show is called Just For Us. It comes to the Mark Taper Forum in Los Angeles, November 10th through the 26th. Please welcome Alex Edelman. That's old school there, huh?
Listen, I was planning on wearing the shirt months ago, and I got bugged, so...
Did you meet Mariah?
I did. I just said to her... First of all, I'm the biggest fan. It's crazy.
Oh, wow.
And I said to her, you know, we need a Hanukkah song from you. The Jews really... We've had such a rough month. We deserve a Hanukkah song.
Absolutely.
And she just went, Sandler's is pretty good. And I was like, okay, that's very nice.
That's true. Well, maybe she could record that. That would be something special.
Although when you were like, you know, the Beatles have 20 hits and one of our guests has the next most, for a second I was like, wait, is it me? Like, did I forget that I recorded 19 #1 singles, you know?
Probably, no, eventually. Give it some time. We met at a very special night, Norman Lear's 100th birthday.
Yeah.
Which you were the host. You did a fantastic job. It was a terrible, it was like the kind of nightmare comedy situation, right?
It's basically all of your heroes and none of them know who you are.
Yeah.
And you're hosting and all of them are like, why aren't I hosting? It was the reason I asked Norman, I was like, by the way, it's like the greatest comedians, and there was like Rob Reiner, Jimmy's there, Tom Hanks is there. It was like my Make-A-Wish. It was truly like I'm performing in front of all of my heroes. And I asked Norman, I was like, why am I doing this? He's like, oh, because you're so wrong for it that no one would get offended that you're doing it. He's like, if he picked Rob Reiner, then Tom Hanks would be like, why not me? And if he picked Tom Hanks, then, you know, like Phil Rosenthal would be like, why not me? And so for me, I was so obviously not correct for the gig that they were like, well, it's nice they're giving a YouTube comedian a chance. It's good of him.
Well, you did a really great job. You also did something that, to my knowledge, no guest in our 20-plus years on the air has ever done before. Last night, and we have some video of it, you came to the show and sat in the audience. And watched Mike Birbiglia, who was our guest last night.
You know, first of all, comedy for me, I got into comedy just because I wanted free tickets to comedy shows. So, like, you guys are basically living my dream, essentially. But yeah, all this is like a ploy to meet Mel Brooks at some point. So,
you've not met Mel Brooks?
I have, but not enough times. Like, I wanna live in his basement. I wanna be like Mel Brooks Jr. at some point. But yeah, I love Mike Birbiglia. He's the original producer of my show on Broadway.
Tell me about your show, because first of all, I hear people who've seen it. I haven't had the opportunity to see it. I'd love to come see it while you're here in LA. I hear it's unbelievably great.
It's a show. I'm a Jew. It depends on who's asking now, but like, I am a Jew. And I went to this meeting of white nationalists in Queens, and I did a show. And Marjorie Taylor Greene calls the show the feel-good hit of the summer, obviously.
When you went to this, it was like a comedy of errors that led you to this meeting of white nationalists.
I went to this meeting, and I wrote a show about it. We went up in New York in like December of 2021, and we ran for a long time, and now we're going on tour. We're coming to the Taper in LA for a couple of weeks.
And do the white nationalists come to see you, invite them to come see the show?
I mean, I lost track of them, and I also, I haven't seen any. I thought I saw one of them in Union Square at the farmer's market, but I wasn't going to walk up to a stranger and be like, hey, do I know you for a meeting of neo-Nazis in Queens?
You have a pre-show ritual that is unusual. You brought a video. Before we see the video, tell us why you do this and what it is.
Okay, so Colin Quinn is another fabulous comedian, celebrity comedian.
Yes.
He worked with this crew that I worked with, and he had this ritual where he would do this thing. He would shoot baskets before the show on a little basketball hoop, and I got really into it because they were like, Colin did this. And it was very meditative before the show, and so I found myself shooting these baskets. But when we moved to Broadway and the theater got bigger, I found myself sort of taking it to the extreme a little bit. So.
Okay, all right. So you've got a basketball, little basketball. Yeah. Pretty strong.
Yeah.
You're a lefty, huh?
I am a lefty. I am a lefty. By the way, that's a legitimate shot, but I had a couple of shots. I lost my voice and they put me on steroids for some of the shows. And so there were some shows where I was like hitting those shots like 4 or 5 times in a row while I was on steroids. And I was like, Barry Bonds should not be in the Hall of Fame. Like,
you just shot a special for HBO, right?
yeah. This is I guess the first time I'm telling anyone, but we shot the show for HBO and it's coming out sometime next year.
Where did you shoot the show?
We shot it on Broadway. Billy Crystal came to our taping, which is great. He was the first comedy show, first solo show I ever saw. He did a show called 700 Sundays.
Oh, yeah, wow.
Yeah, my show's pretty Jewy, so sometimes Birbiglia calls it 700 Saturdays. But like, but Billy's,
that was you
such
were
a full
a kid and you
moment.
went to go see him in that show?
I was in Boston. I was like a teenager. I was like 15 or 16 years old. I went to go see him at the Opera House. It was like one of the best things I'd ever seen. It just like blew my mind. And so such a full circle moment to have him.
Did he come back afterwards?
He did. He had notes, actually.
Did he have notes for you?
Yeah, he had notes.
Did you want notes or did you just want to be told it was great?
I love notes. Like if you come to see the show after, it's gonna be like, what do you think? And you're gonna be like, that's fine. No, like, no. Tell me, give me constructive criticism.
Yeah. I would never do that though. I don't feel like people actually want notes, but even when you say you want notes, I feel like people don't want notes.
No, I want notes so badly because I want, like, when Steve Martin came to the show, I got him to give me a couple jokes. So my show, if anyone asks, my show was co-written with Steve Martin.
Oh, yeah, that's big.
Yeah. He's huge.
Okay, well, so you got a lot of going on here, really, and you're going to be living here in L.A.? You think you'll be comfortable here?
I'll be living here in L.A. I'll be doing the show here. I'm between here and New York.
Are you dating right now?
I'm not. They say that I'm not dating anyone, but they say you find someone when you're not looking. So if anyone out there, I'm not looking. Okay. If anyone out there knows anybody, I am definitely not looking. But no, I've dated wonderful people. I'm actually dating Mariah now. We met.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah. I showed her the basketball shot, and she was like, fantastic.
Hey.
So now we're like totally locked in. But I dated a single mother I dated a single mother for a few years, which is wonderful. I got 2 ladies to be mean to me for the price of 1, which is really fantastic. And she had a 10-year-old daughter.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. It was amazing. I highly recommend dating a single mother. And the kid was the cleverest, meanest, cold. Like I was making her pancakes one day, and I was like, Violet, do you know what the secret ingredient is? And she's like, the last guy's was cinnamon. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Well, mine's tears, so. But yeah. Also, I told her that I went to college with the Tooth Fairy. So that's how I got respect from this like 10-year-old girl. She was like, I told her mom, I was like, tell Violet I went to college with the Tooth Fairy. And Violet was like, Alex, mom says you went to college with the Tooth Fairy? I was like, oh yeah, Stephanie? Like, we're pretty close. Like, we went to college together. And she was like, really? And what I did was I put my own number in my phone as Tooth Fairy for the contact. And I started texting myself, and I would delete a half of the conversation and be like, well, look, I was talking to the Tooth Fairy this morning. And so one day she came into the kitchen. She's like, Alex, I lost a tooth. And I was like, great, I'll text Stephanie. And she's like, tell her I want $100. And I was like, no. And she's like, why can't I have $100? And I was like, and I such an idiot. I sat her down with a piece of paper and explained how many teeth there are and how many children there are, and I tried to make it like a supply and demand problem. And I was like, 2 billion children, 20 teeth a child, it's like $40 billion, you can't do that. Like, if you do one, it's the defense budget of the United States. Like, we'd be very unsafe if you got $100 a tooth. And I leave the room and I come back and she's holding my phone and she's texting on it. And I was like, Violet, what's going on? She was texting the number, but every time she sent the text, it would automatically come back. So she looks at me and she went, the Tooth Fairy's mocking me! So I got away with it.
Wow,
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's a weird relationship you had there, for sure.
Yeah, no, sorry, it's a random one.
Just for Us is the name of the show. It's at the Mark Taper Forum here in L.A., November 10th through November 26th. Alex Edelman, everybody. Thank you, Alex. We'll be back with Allison Russell.